You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you reach for is your phone. Notifications are waiting for you, like an ambush. Emails from work, messages that demand your response, headlines about the state of the world. Before your feet even touch the floor, your mind is already racing. You plan, you calculate, you try to arrange the day into neat boxes, hoping that if you just push hard enough, everything will go exactly the way you want. But deep down, you know it never does. There is always one more problem, one more interruption, one more reason to feel anxious. This is the hidden prison of modern life, the illusion of control. We are told that if we manage perfectly, we will be safe. If we schedule every hour, if we buy the right tools, if we keep our bodies fit and our careers on track, then nothing can touch us. And yet, despite our effort, we feel restless. We fight our own emotions as if they are enemies. We treat sadness like a virus that must be killed, anger like a fire that must be extinguished, fear like a shadow we must chase away. We fight, and in that endless battle, we grow exhausted. What if the fight itself is the reason we suffer? Imagine your mind as a garden. Every day, seeds are falling into this garden. Some seeds are bright and nourishing, patience, kindness, courage. Others are heavy and painful, anger, jealousy, fear. None of these seeds are permanent. They sleep in the soil of your consciousness, waiting for the moment you water them. When you give your energy to fear, it grows. When you feed your anger with thoughts of revenge, it grows. When you nurture compassion, that too begins to blossom. The truth is simple but radical. Your reality is shaped not by what happens outside of you, but by which seeds you choose to water inside of you. Many of us believe that controlling the outside world will bring peace. We try to control our partners, our children, our co-workers. We try to control the timing of traffic, the market, even the weather through endless checking of forecasts. But every attempt to control what cannot be controlled leads us deeper into frustration. Life is not a machine. Life is a living garden. And a garden is not forced into perfection by rigid control. It flourishes when cared for with presence and patience. Picture a young professional in New York. She spends her mornings rushing through subway crowds, her afternoons in back-to-back meetings, her evenings trying to meet the demands of her social media presence. She believes that if she just stays one step ahead, she can finally breathe. But every night she lies awake, heart pounding, replaying the day's mistakes, planning for tomorrow's battles. She thinks she is in control, but really she is trapped. Now picture another person, a single father in Los Angeles. His days are filled with bills, deadlines, and the constant worry of raising his child alone. He tells himself, "I cannot afford to feel tired. I cannot afford to be weak." So he pushes, forces, resists every emotion that might slow him down. And yet, the more he fights his feelings, the more they dominate him. What they both share is the same illusion, the belief that peace comes from control, when in truth, peace comes from awareness. The first step is to stop fighting your emotions. Emotions are not invaders. They are seeds. They arise, they bloom, they fade. If you meet them with resistance, they dig their roots deeper. But if you meet them with gentle attention, they pass like clouds. Think about the last time you felt angry. Did pushing it away make it vanish? Or did it return, stronger, more stubborn, demanding more of your energy? Now think about a time you felt kindness, maybe when a stranger held the door open for you, or when a child smiled at you in a grocery store. Did you notice how that simple seed of kindness shifted your entire mood for hours afterward? This is the secret of the seeds. Your mind contains them all. Which ones will grow depends entirely on what you choose to feed. In Buddhist wisdom, suffering is not something to be crushed or eliminated. Suffering is a teacher. When you hold your pain gently, when you stop running from it, it softens. It becomes soil in which compassion can grow. You do not need to be free of anger to be at peace. You only need to learn how to hold anger like a crying child, with tenderness instead of fear. But here is the challenge. We live in a culture that tells us the opposite. Advertisements tell us, buy this and you will never feel insecure again. Self-help slogans promise, take control of your life. Social media whispers, you should be stronger, happier, more perfect. These voices feed the seeds of anxiety every day, and we obey them, not realizing that we are watering the wrong garden. Imagine for a moment, what if you could choose differently? What if instead of feeding fear, you paused and took one conscious breath? In that single breath, you water the seed of mindfulness. You return to the present, and suddenly the prison bars of control begin to dissolve. In this space, life is no longer an enemy to be conquered, but a mystery to be experienced. This does not mean you stop caring about your responsibilities. It means you care for them with a different energy. Instead of fighting to control, you nurture like a gardener. You still plan, but without obsession. You still work, but without losing your soul in the process. You still feel emotions, but without letting them define you. This is the shift, from control to cultivation, from fighting to tending, from illusion to truth. And when you begin to live this way, something remarkable happens. The seeds of peace, compassion, and courage, once small and fragile, start to grow strong. They create a new inner landscape, one where you no longer feel like a prisoner of life, but a participant in its unfolding dance. There is a moment in every life when the illusion of control breaks. Perhaps it comes when a job you depended on suddenly disappears. Perhaps it comes when a loved one leaves, or when a diagnosis changes the story you thought you were living. In those moments, all the walls you built with effort and planning collapse, and you are left standing in the raw uncertainty of existence. At first, it feels terrifying, but hidden in this collapse is also a door. When control fails, presence can begin. You may think, but if I stop trying to control, won't everything fall apart? Yet look carefully. Has your struggle for control ever truly worked? The truth is, the tighter we grip, the more life slips through our fingers. Control is like trying to hold water in your hand. The harder you squeeze, the faster it drains away. But if you relax, if you cup your hand gently, the water rests there, shimmering in the light. This is the secret. Gentleness holds more than force ever can. Think of the garden again. You cannot command a seed to sprout by shouting at it. You cannot demand a rose to bloom faster because your schedule insists on it. Life unfolds on its own time. The gardener's wisdom is patience. The gardener's art is care. What if you began to treat your mind the way a gardener treats soil? Every anxious thought, instead of an enemy, becomes compost. Every mistake, instead of a failure, becomes fertilizer. In this way, nothing is wasted. Even suffering becomes nourishment for growth. Let me share a story. A young man once came to a teacher, restless with anger. He said, I cannot stop these feelings. They take me over, and I lose myself. I want to cut them out, destroy them, be free. The teacher smiled gently and replied, would you throw away the soil because it contains thorns? Or would you tend the soil so that flowers have a chance to grow? The young man did not understand at first, but over time, as he practiced sitting with his anger instead of fighting it, he noticed a change. His anger was still there, but it was softer, less wild. It no longer ruled him. He realized that by accepting the thorn, he was also creating the ground for roses. You may not be able to stop storms from coming into your life, but you can decide how to meet them. If you meet them with clenched fists, you only exhaust yourself. If you meet them with open hands, they pass more quickly, leaving the air clearer than before. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Modern culture trains us to measure success by control. Controlling the market, controlling the body, controlling our time. But the greatest freedom is not control. The greatest freedom is choice, the choice of which seeds to water. You cannot choose whether a seed of fear appears in your mind. It will many times. But you can choose whether you feed it with more fearful thoughts. You cannot choose whether seeds of anger arrive. They will. But you can choose whether to dwell on them or to breathe and water seeds of patience instead. This is not weakness. This is power. True power is not the ability to crush what arises, but the ability to nurture what will heal you. Imagine the next time you feel anxiety rising in your chest. Instead of trying to suppress it, you take one conscious breath. You say to yourself, "I see you, fear. I will not fight you, but I will not feed you either." In that moment, you break the old cycle. The seed of mindfulness has been watered. Slowly, it will grow stronger than the fear itself. Another example, a mother overwhelmed by her children's noise and demands. She feels irritation rising, the familiar seed of anger sprouting. Her habit would be to shout, to control. But this time, she pauses. She places her hand on her heart, breathes deeply, and whispers silently, "This is a seed of anger. I will not water it." She lets it pass, and instead she waters the seed of patience by smiling at her child. The situation does not change immediately. The children are still noisy, but her heart changes. Her garden changes. Day by day, these small choices transform the entire landscape of her life. The seeds you water become the future you live. If you water anxiety daily, you will live in a forest of fear. If you water gratitude daily, you will live in a field of peace. This is not philosophy. This is practical reality, accessible in every breath you take. In Buddhist teaching, this is called interbeing. Everything you experience is a seed connected to countless causes and conditions. Your choice in this moment is not isolated. When you water compassion in yourself, you plant compassion in the world. When you water patience, your children inherit it. When you water anger, your coworkers inherit it. Your garden does not end with you. It touches everyone around you. So the question becomes, what kind of garden will you leave behind? Will it be one filled with weeds of resentment, or one filled with blossoms of kindness? The answer is not in the future. It is in this moment, in this breath, in this choice. You may wonder, is it really that simple? Can just a breath, just a choice, really change my life? The answer is yes, but not instantly. Seeds do not become trees overnight. They require tending. They require trust. Every conscious breath is like a drop of water. One drop seems small, but many drops over time can turn a desert into a river. This is the practice, consistent, gentle, patient. You are not asked to control the entire world. You are only asked to care for your garden, one moment at a time. And this care is enough to transform everything. When you begin to live this way, something extraordinary happens. The need for control loosens. Anxiety softens. The heart opens. You discover a strength that is not rigid but flexible, not harsh but tender. And this strength is unshakable because it does not depend on circumstances outside of you. It comes from the soil of your own awareness. In the end, the illusion of control fades, and a deeper truth shines through. Peace is not found in forcing life to obey. Peace is found in choosing which seeds you water, again and again. This is the beginning of freedom. Think of how often you say to yourself, "I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I finish this project. I'll be happy when I earn more money. I'll be happy when I find the right partner, or when I move to a better place, or when I finally retire. This thought is so common that we rarely question it. It feels natural, even responsible, to postpone peace for the future. But hidden inside this thought is a trap that keeps us running forever. From childhood, we are taught that contentment must be earned. A student in school learns that joy will come only after good grades. A young adult believes happiness will arrive after a promotion. A parent tells themselves they will relax once the children are grown. Year after year, the horizon moves further away. The more we chase, the more restless we become. In the culture of constant striving, the present moment is treated like an obstacle, something to endure until the real reward arrives. But what if that reward never comes? What if the finish line keeps shifting like a mirage in the desert? We walk and walk, thirsting for peace, but it always seems one step further. This is the modern condition, a restless heart that cannot arrive. You see it in the commuter who spends hours in traffic, eyes fixed on the clock, body aching, spirit waiting for the weekend. You see it in the executive who flies from meeting to meeting, hotel to hotel, always searching for the next deal, never resting long enough to feel alive. You see it in the retiree who thought freedom would come at 65, only to find the same anxiety waiting at the door. They all share the same exile, the belief that home is somewhere else, sometime else. But home is not a future destination. Home is not a city, a job, or even a relationship. Home is a state of being. It is the deep peace of arriving fully in the present moment, no longer running, no longer chasing, no longer exiled from yourself. The miracle is that this home is available now, in the very breath you are taking. Imagine this. You are sitting at your desk, overwhelmed with deadlines. Your mind races, your heart beats fast, your fingers move mechanically on the keyboard. Suddenly, you pause. You inhale deeply. You exhale slowly. For the first time that day, you whisper inside, "I have arrived. I am home." Nothing outside has changed. The work is still there. The world is still noisy. But something inside you softens. In that single breath, you are no longer lost in the race. You are here, fully here. This simple act is more radical than it seems. In a society that worships speed and productivity, choosing to arrive is an act of rebellion. It is saying, my worth is not measured by what I achieve. My life is not postponed until tomorrow. I am alive now. When you arrive in the present, you discover that peace is not in the distant horizon. Peace is in the steps you are taking, in the sip of water on your tongue, in the quiet beating of your heart. The Buddha once described this experience as touching the miracle of life. Every moment is filled with wonders. The blue sky above, the ground firm beneath your feet, the sound of a bird, the warmth of sunlight on your skin. These things are so ordinary that we overlook them, yet they are the true treasures. To arrive in the present is to finally see them. A man in Boston once shared that his whole life was a chase. He believed peace would come with money. So he worked, invested, sacrificed sleep, sacrificed health. When the money came, the peace did not. Instead, new worries arrived. How to keep it, how to grow it, how to protect it. One day, while walking in the park, he saw a child blowing bubbles. The child laughed as each bubble floated and popped. In that moment, something inside the man broke open. He realized the child was already living the happiness he had spent decades chasing. The secret was not in the bank account. The secret was in the arrival. Have you noticed how children know how to arrive? They can spend an hour fascinated by an ant on the sidewalk or by the sound of rain against a window. They are not waiting for life to begin. They are living it. Somewhere along the way, as adults, we lose this gift. We trade presents for planning. play for productivity, wonder for worry. But the child is still within us, waiting to be invited back. Arrival is the invitation. You may wonder, isn't this just being lazy? If I stop striving, won't I fall behind? But arriving is not laziness. Arriving is the deepest form of strength. It is the strength to step out of the endless chase and to stand where life is actually happening. From this place, your actions become clearer, calmer, more effective. Instead of being driven by anxiety, you are guided by awareness. It is like trying to drive a car while staring only at the horizon. You miss the turns. You crash into obstacles. But if you focus on the road beneath your wheels, you arrive safely, step by step. The present moment is the road beneath your wheels. To miss it is to miss your life. In the practice of mindfulness, there is a simple phrase. Breathing in, I arrive. Breathing out, I am home. Try repeating this silently as you breathe. You may be surprised at how quickly your body responds. Shoulders relax. Jaw softens. Heartbeat slows. It is as if your whole being sighs in relief, whispering, finally, you are here. Arrival is not just about breathing. It is about changing the way you relate to life itself. Most of us live like travelers stuck in an airport terminal, always waiting for the next flight. We are not truly here. We are suspended in between, telling ourselves that life will begin once we reach the next gate. But the truth is, the plane we are waiting for may never come. Life is happening here, in the waiting, in the walking, in the ordinary. To arrive is to recognize that the terminal itself is part of the journey. There was once a woman in Chicago who believed her peace would begin when her children grew older. She dreamed of a day when she could rest, when the noise would fade, when the house would be quiet. But when the children did grow up and leave, she found herself longing for the very noise she once resisted. She realized too late that she had missed the chance to be at home while her children were still there. Her peace was always postponed, always waiting for tomorrow. This is what happens when we do not arrive. We trade the life we have for a life that never comes. To arrive does not mean to abandon dreams or to stop moving forward. It means to carry your dreams differently. It means that as you walk toward the future, you are not absent from the present. You do not exile yourself from the only moment where life can actually be touched. When you arrive, even ambition changes. You may still work hard, but the work is no longer a desperate attempt to prove your worth. It becomes an expression of joy, an offering of your presence. Imagine an artist painting. If she paints only to sell the canvas, every brushstroke is restless, heavy with pressure. But if she paints while fully present, the process itself becomes a meditation. The painting is not just an object, it is a living moment captured in color. Your life can be like this painting. Every step, every word, every action can become a canvas of presence if you allow yourself to arrive. Consider also the body. Many people live as if their body is just a vehicle to carry the mind around. They ignore its signals, push past its fatigue, numb its pain. But to arrive is to return home to the body, to feel the breath in the lungs, the ground beneath the feet. The body is not a machine to be driven. It is a house of miracles. Think of how many processes happen right now without your control. The heart pumping, blood flowing, cells repairing. You are alive because of this silent orchestra. To arrive is to bow in gratitude to this miracle. There is a practice called mindful walking. Instead of rushing to get somewhere, you walk as if each step is your destination. You breathe, you place one foot on the ground, and you say silently, I have arrived. Then you take another step, I am home. At first, it feels unusual. The mind wants to run ahead, to finish quickly. But with practice, each step becomes a door to peace. You no longer walk to escape the present, you walk to deepen it. Try this the next time you are walking to your car, to the store, or through your home. Instead of treating the walk as empty space between tasks, let it become the heart of your day. Arrival is not about adding more time. It is about changing the quality of the time you already have. A man once told a teacher, "I do not have time to practice. My schedule is too full." The teacher replied, "Do you have time to breathe?" The man laughed. Of course, he had time to breathe. The teacher smiled and said, "Then you have time to arrive." This is the secret. Arrival is not an extra task. It is a way of doing what you are already doing. Eating can be arrival. Washing dishes can be arrival. Even waiting in traffic can be arrival. Instead of resisting the red light, you can breathe and whisper, "I am home." Suddenly, the frustration transforms into rest. The car becomes a meditation hall. The road becomes a path of peace. To live this way is to stop postponing happiness. It is to stop saying, "I'll be happy when," and to begin saying, "I am happy now, in this step, in this breath." This does not mean ignoring your struggles. It means discovering that peace is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of awareness. When you are fully present, even pain softens. Even grief becomes tender. A man who lost his wife shared that in his mourning. He found small moments of arrival that kept him alive. The warmth of sunlight through the window, the sound of birds in the morning, the touch of his daughter's hand. These moments did not erase his grief, but they gave him a home in the middle of it. They reminded him that life, fragile and fleeting, was still here, still offering beauty. To arrive is to open your eyes to this beauty. Even when life is hard, you may not be able to control the storms, but you can still feel the rain on your skin. You may not be able to stop loss, but you can still touch the love that remains. Arrival is the art of touching life as it is, without waiting for it to be different. In the deepest sense, arriving is a form of love. It is saying to yourself, "I will not abandon you. I will not postpone you. I will be here with you now." This kind of love heals the wounds of exile, the wounds of always running, always waiting. When you arrive, you are no longer a stranger to your own life. You are home. And once you taste this home, you realize it cannot be taken away. Circumstances may change, fortunes may rise and fall, people may come and go, but the ground of presence remains. It is always available, always waiting in the next breath. This is the deep peace of arriving. There are moments in life when you react in ways that even surprise yourself. A small comment from a colleague feels like an attack, and suddenly your chest burns with anger. A child spills milk on the floor, and your voice rises louder than you intended. Later, you sit in silence and wonder, why did I react like that? Where did this come from? The truth is, many of the emotions that surge within us are not entirely ours. They are echoes of the past, ancient patterns passed down through generations, hidden inside the soil of our being. This is the inheritance we rarely talk about, the emotional karma of families. Imagine a grandfather who lived through war, carrying fear in his bones. He never spoke of it, but his silence was heavy. His children grew up in that atmosphere, learning unconsciously that the world was unsafe. They carried that fear into their own homes, passing it on in subtle gestures, in strict rules, in sudden anger. Decades later, you, his grandchild, feel a wave of anxiety when nothing is wrong. You think it is just your problem, but it is not only yours. It is an ancient inheritance, a river flowing through time. When we understand this, our suffering becomes less personal. We see that our pain is part of a larger story, written long before we were born. But this does not mean we are helpless. In fact, it means we have a chance to bring healing not just to ourselves, but to generations past and future. Consider a woman in Texas who always felt unworthy. No matter how much she achieved, a voice inside whispered, "You are not enough." In therapy, she discovered that her mother had heard the same voice from her own father, who believed harshness was the only way to raise strong children. This chain of judgment had stretched across 3 generations. The woman realized the voice was not truly hers. It was an inheritance. In Buddhist practice, this insight is called intergenerational suffering. We do not start from a blank page. We inherit both light and shadow, kindness and fear. The question is, will we continue the cycle or will we interrupt it? To interrupt the cycle, we must first see it clearly. When anger rises, ask yourself, is this anger mine or does it belong to someone before me? When fear grips your chest, ask, whose fear is this? Where did it begin? These questions do not erase the feeling, but they shine a light on its roots. And when you see the roots, compassion begins to grow. You realize that your parents, your grandparents, your ancestors were also victims of suffering. They did not choose to pass it on. They simply did not know how to stop it. Suddenly, instead of blaming them, you feel tenderness. You see their humanity. You see that they too were children once, wounded and longing for love. This shift is powerful. It transforms resentment into compassion, and compassion has the strength to heal across generations. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. Behind you stand your parents, behind them their parents, and behind them countless generations stretching back into history. Every smile, every wound, every trauma, every act of courage flows through this chain into you. When you choose to breathe mindfully, to respond with patience instead of anger, you are not just healing yourself. You are healing all of them. You are saying, the chain ends here. Picture a father who once yelled at his son every time the boy made a mistake. Years later, the grown son feels anger rising when his own child spills juice on the carpet. The pattern is ready to repeat. But this time, he pauses. He takes a breath. He remembers the pain of being yelled at as a child. Instead of shouting, he kneels down, looks into his child's eyes, and says gently, "It's okay. Let's clean it together." In that moment, history shifts. The river of anger is interrupted. A new inheritance begins, one of patience, of kindness, of healing. This is the sacred opportunity of our generation, to break the ancient inheritance of suffering. We may not change the past, but we can change its continuation. We can be the turning point where wounds become wisdom, where pain becomes compassion. The garden of our mind is not only our own, it is the soil of our ancestors. And when we tend it with mindfulness, we are offering flowers not only for ourselves, but for those who came before and those who will come after. Every family carries stories. Some are spoken at dinner tables, passed down with laughter. Others remain unspoken, hidden in silences, heavy in the air. These unspoken stories often carry wounds, shame, fear, anger that shape the way we see ourselves and others. You may think your reactions are entirely your own, but often they are echoes of those silent stories. To break the ancient inheritance is not to erase the past, but to face it with compassion. Imagine a young woman in California who grew up with a father who never expressed affection. He was strict, distant, quick to criticize. As an adult, she struggled with intimacy, fearing that love would always be conditional. One day she realized her father's coldness was not born with him. His own father had been harsher still, a man scarred by poverty and disappointment. What she had received was not her father's true heart, but an inheritance of wounded patterns. This recognition softened her anger. Instead of saying, "My father failed me," she began to say, "My father also suffered." Compassion opened the door to healing. When we see that our pain is not only personal but ancestral, we begin to release the chains of blame. We understand that our parents, like us, were caught in cycles they did not know how to break. This does not excuse harmful behavior, but it transforms our response. Instead of carrying resentment like a heavy stone, we carry understanding like a lantern. The light of this lantern can illuminate generations of darkness. Think of it this way. If your ancestors could have given you peace, they would have. If they could have offered love without condition, they would have. The fact that they did not means they too were in exile, longing for something they could not reach. By practicing asterisk awareness now, you give them the gift they could not give themselves. You become the one who heals backward and forward in time. There is a meditation in which you sit quietly and visualize your parents and grandparents standing behind you. You breathe in and say silently, "I see you. I see your suffering. I hold it with compassion." You breathe out and say, "I continue you in a new way." With each breath, you feel the burden lighten. You realize you are not separate from them. Their blood flows in your veins, their stories live in your cells. And yet, you have the freedom to choose differently. This freedom is the turning point. The ancient inheritance does not have to continue unchanged. One man told a story about growing up in a household of constant shouting. Every conflict ended in slammed doors and broken trust. As an adult, he feared relationships, certain that love always led to pain. But through mindfulness practice, he began to see the pattern clearly. He realized the shouting was not only his parents' voice, but the echo of generations who knew no other way to express pain. Slowly, he learned to pause in arguments, to breathe before reacting. The first time he chose silence over shouting, he felt a wave of liberation. It was as if the voices of his ancestors sighed in relief. By breaking the cycle, he honored them in the deepest way. To break the ancient inheritance is not dramatic. It is not a single moment of victory. It is quiet, patient work like weeding a garden. Every time you choose patience instead of anger, you are pulling out a weed. Every time you choose compassion instead of blame, you are planting a flower. Over time, the garden changes. The soil becomes rich, the air fragrant, the inheritance transformed. This healing does not only touch your ancestors, it touches your children, your friends, your community. The way you speak, the way you respond, becomes part of the inheritance you pass on. One gentle word can replace generations of harshness. One act of understanding can rewrite an entire family story. Imagine the legacy you could leave, not one of wounds, but of wisdom. Not one of fear, but of love. This is within your reach, in every breath, in every choice. You may not be able to change what was handed to you, but you can choose what you will hand forward. And that choice is powerful enough to heal centuries. The ancient inheritance does not have to define you. It can be transformed by you. And in this transformation, you discover something extraordinary. By healing yourself, you are also healing the world. Modern life trains us to scatter our attention like seeds thrown into the wind. We eat while scrolling our phones. We talk while half listening. We walk while planning tomorrow's tasks. Rarely are we truly present in the moment we are living. We mistake speed for progress, multitasking for mastery. And yet, deep inside, we feel the cost. Exhaustion, disconnection, and the subtle sense that life is slipping away before our eyes. Presence is the medicine we have forgotten. To be present is to return home to yourself in the very act of living. It is to take something as ordinary as a step, a sip, or a breath, and discover that within it lies a doorway to freedom. This is revolutionary because it goes against the entire culture of distraction that surrounds us. A revolution does not always happen in the streets. Sometimes it happens quietly in your kitchen as you wash a dish with full awareness. Imagine this. You pour water into a glass. Normally, Your mind is elsewhere thinking about the argument from yesterday or the meeting tomorrow. But this time, you pause. You notice the sound of water filling the glass, the light shimmering on its surface, the coolness of the glass against your hand. You take a sip. You taste it fully. And in that moment, the whole world exists in the simplicity of water. You are present. You are free. This kind of presence may sound small, even trivial, but it is not. When you are truly present, you anchor your mind and body together. The scattered pieces of yourself reunite, and you feel whole. Stress softens. The nervous system relaxes. Life, once fragmented, becomes one. Presence is not a luxury. It is survival. Without it, we live in fragments, always chasing the next moment, never tasting this one. With it, we rediscover the joy hidden in the ordinary. A father in San Francisco once told his story. He was always rushing to work, rushing to pick up his children, rushing to finish chores. One day, his daughter tugged his sleeve and said, "Daddy, you never really look at me." Her words pierced his heart. He realized that while he was physically present, his mind was always elsewhere. From that day, he made a practice. When his daughter spoke, he would stop, look into her eyes, and listen with his whole being. The result was astonishing. His daughter's behavior improved, their bond deepened, and he himself felt lighter. All because of the revolutionary act of presence. Presence transforms not only relationships, but also the body. Notice the next time you eat in a rush. Your stomach feels heavy, digestion suffers, and even after eating, you do not feel satisfied. But when you eat mindfully, chewing slowly, tasting fully, your body receives not just food but care. You are nourished on every level. The same is true for walking. Most of us walk as if being chased, hurrying toward the next appointment. But mindful walking is different. Each step becomes a meditation. You feel your foot touch the earth. You feel the support of the ground, steady and generous. With each step you say silently, "I am here. I am alive." Suddenly, the sidewalk becomes sacred, the act of walking a celebration. A woman once shared how mindful walking saved her from burnout. She was a nurse, overwhelmed by long hours and constant demands. At first, she thought she had no time for practice. But then she began using the hospital corridors as her meditation path. Each time she walked to a patient's room, she slowed her breath, softened her steps, and whispered inwardly, "Arriving, I am here." Over time, her exhaustion lifted, replaced by a calm strength. She discovered that presence does not take extra time. It transforms the time you already have. To practice presence is to resist the pull of a culture that profits from distraction. Every advertisement screams for your attention. Every device is designed to steal your focus. But when you choose to return to your breath, to your step, to your glass of water, you reclaim your life. This is why presence is revolutionary. It is not passive. It is an act of quiet rebellion, declaring that your attention belongs to you, not to the endless demands of the world. You may wonder, how do I begin? Begin small. Choose one daily activity, brushing your teeth, drinking tea, opening a door. Decide that for these few seconds, you will be fully present. Feel the brush against your gums. Smell the tea rising with steam. Notice the weight of the door handle. These small islands of presence grow, and soon the ocean of your life changes. You realize you do not need to escape to find peace. You only need to arrive in what is already here. Presence does not mean withdrawing from life. It does not mean sitting silently on a mountain while the world rushes past. True presence is not escape, it is engagement. It is choosing to meet each moment with your whole being, whether that moment is joyful, painful, or completely ordinary. When you are present, you do not add extra layers of resistance or distraction. You allow life to reveal itself as it is, raw and beautiful. Consider how conflict feels when you are not present. A friend criticizes you, and immediately your mind leaps to defense. Words spill out, sharp and fast, before you even understand what you are saying. Later, regret weighs on you. But if you are present in that moment, if you notice the heat rising in your chest, the racing of your thoughts, you have a choice. You can pause. You can breathe. You can listen. And in that pause, something miraculous happens. Instead of reacting from old wounds, you respond from awareness. Presence changes not the fact of conflict, but the energy within it. A teacher once described presence as a bell of mindfulness. Just as a temple bell calls monks back from distraction, presence calls you back from automatic living. Every time you hear the inner bell, your breath, your heartbeat, the sound of a bird, you are reminded, this is the only moment I have. I will live it fully. Imagine carrying such a bell into your daily life. While waiting at a red light, instead of fuming, you breathe. While standing in line at the grocery store, instead of scrolling endlessly, you arrive. These moments may seem small, but they weave a new fabric for your days. Instead of a life made of stress and hurry, you create a life made of presence and peace. Presence also reshapes relationships. Think of the last time someone gave you their full attention, no phone in hand, no wandering eyes, just presence. Did you not feel seen, valued, even healed? To offer presence is the greatest gift you can give another. You may not solve their problems, but your attention tells them you matter. You are not alone. And when you receive presence in return, you too feel nourished. In this way, presence is not only a personal practice, but a communal medicine. Families, workplaces, even nations suffer when presence is absent. Decisions are made in haste. Words are spoken without care. Actions are driven by fear. But when presence enters, understanding enters. Compassion enters. Healing begins. Let me share the story of a businessman who lived in constant pressure. Meetings, deadlines, negotiations filled his days. His teenage son began to withdraw, spending more time alone, avoiding conversation. One evening, instead of pressing with questions or advice, the father simply sat next to his son in silence. He placed his hand gently on the boy's shoulder, breathed slowly, and offered full presence without words. After a few minutes, the son began to speak, not because he was forced, but because he felt safe. This simple act of presence restored a bridge that years of busyness had eroded. The father discovered that presence is more powerful than any speech. The revolutionary act of presence is also a healing balm for the self. Many of us carry deep wounds, mistakes, regrets, unhealed grief. We try to push them away or drown them in distractions. But presence invites us to sit gently with them, to breathe with them, to say, yes, you are here. I will not run from you. When we do this, the wound softens. It begins to transform, like ice melting under the warmth of the sun. Healing does not come from resistance. It comes from presence. Some people fear presence because they think it will make pain stronger. In reality, presence makes pain bearable. When you are fully with your suffering, it stops chasing you. It becomes a guest you can sit with, not a monster in the dark. And in that sitting, you discover that your heart is larger than your pain. Your awareness is vast enough to hold it all. This is freedom. The world tells us that freedom comes from control, from achievement, from escape. But real freedom is found in presence. When you are present, no circumstance can truly imprison you. Stress may surround you, but inside you are calm. Loss may break your heart, but inside you find a ground of stillness. Even joy, when met with presence, becomes richer, deeper, more real. Presence is revolutionary because it changes the way you live without changing where you live. The same house, the same job, the same body can become a completely different world when inhabited with presence. And presence is always available. You do not need money to access it. You do not need special equipment. You only need to breathe and remember, here I am. This is enough. So let us return to the image of the garden. In earlier chapters, we spoke of seeds of anger, of kindness, of fear, of compassion. Presence is the sunlight that allows the right seeds to grow. Without presence, weeds take over by default. With presence, you cultivate consciously. You choose. You create beauty. The revolutionary act of presence is the decision to shine this sunlight into every corner of your life. To make each sip of tea, each step on the ground, each moment with a loved one, a sacred act. And in doing so, you discover that every moment, no matter how ordinary, can become the most wonderful moment of your life that is easy to love the people who treat us kindly. It is easy to stay calm when life flows smoothly. But the true test of our practice comes when we meet those who challenge us, frustrate us, even hurt us. These adversaries, whether they are colleagues, family members, or strangers on the street, often awaken in us the strongest emotions: anger, resentment, fear. Our instinct is to push them away, to label them as enemies, to dream of a life where they no longer exist. Yet what if the very people who disturb us are our greatest teachers? What if they are not obstacles on the path, but essential parts of it? Think about a time someone criticized you unfairly. Maybe a coworker questioned your competence in front of others. Maybe a friend betrayed your trust. The sting of injustice burns deeply, doesn't it? Immediately, the mind races. How dare they? How can I strike back? How can I protect myself? This reflex is natural, but it is also the source of suffering. The Buddha once taught that holding on to anger is like grasping a burning coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned first. When we treat our adversaries as enemies, we carry the fire within us. But what if, instead, we pause? What if we look beyond the surface of their actions and ask, what pain are they carrying that makes them act this way? Suddenly, the story shifts. The colleague who lashes out may be drowning in insecurity. The friend who betrays may be blinded by their own fear of abandonment. The stranger who insults you on the street may be carrying decades of silent wounds. To see this does not excuse their behavior, but it transforms your relationship with it. You move from blind reaction to compassionate understanding. There was a story of a teacher who said, if you want to grow patience, you need someone to test it. Without the person who irritates you, how will you know the strength of your patience? If you want to grow compassion, you need someone who is suffering, even if they express their suffering through anger or cruelty. In this light, adversaries become mirrors, reflecting the areas of our heart that need strengthening. Consider a man in New York who struggled with a harsh boss. Every day, he dreaded going to work, certain he would be criticized no matter how hard he tried. For years, he dreamed of quitting. But then he began a mindfulness practice. Instead of seeing his boss only as an enemy, he began to see him as a human being trapped in his own cycle of fear and pressure. He noticed the lines of tension on his boss's face, the restless tapping of his fingers, the exhaustion in his eyes. Slowly, his anger turned into empathy. He realized that his boss's harshness was less about him and more about the burden his boss carried. The job was still difficult, but the man no longer felt poisoned by hatred. Instead, he grew stronger, more stable. The boss, without knowing it, had become his teacher. This shift is revolutionary. When you see adversaries as teachers, you reclaim your power. No longer are you a victim of their actions. You are a student of their lessons. Every criticism becomes an invitation to practice humility. Every insult becomes a chance to practice patience. Every betrayal becomes a challenge to deepen compassion. Instead of being dragged into cycles of anger, you transform the energy into wisdom. Does this mean you must allow yourself to be abused or mistreated? Absolutely not. Compassion does not mean weakness. Understanding does not mean tolerating harm. Sometimes the wisest response is to set boundaries, to walk away, to protect yourself. But even in those moments, you can do so without hatred. You can leave with clarity instead of bitterness, with firmness instead of vengeance. A woman once shared how she endured years of conflict with her sister. Arguments erupted at every family gathering, leaving her drained and resentful. But through mindfulness, she began to listen beneath her sister's words. She realized her sister's sharpness came from loneliness, from the feeling of being overlooked. With this awareness, the woman changed her approach. Instead of defending herself, she offered attention. She acknowledged her sister's feelings. Slowly, the battles softened. The relationship did not become perfect, but it became bearable, even tender at times. The sister who once felt like an enemy became a wounded companion on the path. The gift of the adversary is hidden in discomfort. They reveal the places in us that are still fragile, still reactive. They show us the limits of our patience, the edges of our compassion. Without them, these qualities remain theoretical. With them, they become real, embodied, alive. Just as muscles grow by lifting weight, the heart grows by meeting adversity. So the next time someone challenges you, pause before reacting, breathe. Ask yourself, what seed is this person watering in me? Anger or patience? Hatred or compassion? Then choose wisely. You cannot control their behavior, but you can choose which seed you will water in response. And in that choice, you transform not only yourself, but the entire energy between you. To see the adversary as a teacher is to change the lens through which you view life. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what can I learn from this? This single shift of perspective turns suffering into wisdom, turns enemies into guides. The people who trigger us often touch old wounds that were already there. Without them, we might never notice those wounds. With them, the wound is revealed, and once revealed, it can be healed. Think of a man in Los Angeles who was deeply hurt by betrayal. A close friend spread rumors about him, destroying trust. At first, the man burned with anger. He wanted revenge. But as the weeks passed, he realized that beneath the anger was something more vulnerable. Fear of being abandoned, fear of being misunderstood. His friend's betrayal had touched this old wound, a wound that began long before this friendship. By facing it directly, he discovered that the betrayal, as painful as it was, had given him a chance to heal something buried deep in his heart. The adversary had forced open a door to liberation. Another story comes from a woman who faced constant criticism at work. Every time her supervisor pointed out mistakes, she felt crushed, unworthy. But through mindfulness, she learned to breathe before reacting. She asked herself, why does this criticism cut so deeply? She discovered that since childhood, she had equated love with approval. Her supervisor's words echoed her parents' disapproval. By recognizing this pattern, she began to separate the present from the past. The criticism still stung, but it no longer defined her. In this way, her supervisor, unknowingly, became her spiritual teacher. This is the hidden gift. Adversaries bring our unconscious wounds to the surface. They force us to meet ourselves, to grow stronger, to practice compassion, not only for them, but for ourselves. Without them, our growth would remain shallow. With them, our growth becomes deep and real. But how do we practice this in daily life? The key is presence. When someone provokes you, your first instinct is reaction. But if you pause just one breath, you create space. In that space, you can choose. Instead of feeding the seed of anger, you can water the seed of patience. Instead of fueling hatred, you can practice compassion. This does not mean agreeing with them or excusing their behavior. It means choosing not to let their suffering become your suffering. Ah, monk once said, "Your adversary is like a hot coal thrown at you. You can catch it and be burned, or you can let it fall to the ground. Presence allows you to let it fall. Compassion allows you to see why they threw it in the first place. Wisdom allows you to walk away without hatred in your heart." Think of the global stage. Nations at war often mirror the same dynamics as individuals in conflict. Each side sees the other as an enemy, reacting to fear with aggression. But what if leaders could pause, see the humanity of their adversaries, recognize the wounds beneath the weapons? History shows us that true peace is not built on domination, but on understanding. The same is true in our personal lives. This practice is not easy. It asks us to go against our instincts. But every time you succeed, even in small ways, you gain strength. The neighbor who annoys you with loud music becomes your chance to practice patience. The colleague who interrupts becomes your chance to practice humility. The family member who criticizes becomes your chance to practice compassion. Without them, these virtues remain abstract. With them, they become real. There was once a student who asked his teacher, "Why are people so cruel to me?" The teacher replied, "Because they are giving you the chance to become strong in love. Without them, your compassion would never grow." In this way, the adversary is not just a burden, but a blessing in disguise. They help us polish the rough edges of our character, like sandpaper smoothing wood. The process may feel harsh, but the result is refinement, beauty, strength. So the next time you meet someone who tests your patience, remember, you are standing in a classroom. The adversary is your teacher. The lesson is compassion. The homework is presence. And the reward is freedom. When you embrace this perspective, life itself changes. No longer are you trapped in cycles of anger and resentment. You become free because no one can steal your peace. They may provoke, but you choose your response. They may wound, but you choose to heal. This is the gift of the adversary, the chance to discover your deepest strength, the chance to transform suffering into love. There comes a point in every journey when we realize that external solutions can only take us so far. We try self-help books, motivational talks, new habits, new diets, new technologies. They inspire us for a while, but the peace they bring quickly fades. Like waves crashing on the shore, the effect is temporary. What we are really searching for is not another tool, but a foundation of ground beneath our feet that does not move when the storms of life arrive. In Buddhist teaching, this ground is described as 3 doors, 3 inner energies that already exist within us. They are mindfulness, concentration, and insight. When cultivated together, they open into a freedom that nothing outside of us can shake. The first door is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the simple act of knowing what is happening while it is happening. It is awareness without judgment. When you breathe in and know, "I am breathing in," that is mindfulness. When you eat and truly taste your food, that is mindfulness. When you listen to a loved one without planning your reply, that is mindfulness. At first, it seems too simple, almost childish. But simplicity is its power. With mindfulness, you stop being lost in the past or future and return home to the present. You anchor yourself in reality instead of drifting in stories. Imagine a man driving home after a stressful day. His body is in the car, but his mind is still at the office replaying conversations, worrying about tomorrow's deadlines. He misses the sunset glowing in the sky, the laughter of children playing on the sidewalk. His life is here, but he is elsewhere. Now imagine the same man breathing deeply, noticing the steering wheel under his hands, the sky changing colors, the rhythm of his breath. In that moment, he has stepped through the first door. He has touched peace, not in the future, but here and now. The second door is concentration. If mindfulness is knowing, concentration is staying. It is the ability to hold your awareness steady, like a candle flame that does not flicker in the wind. Without concentration, mindfulness is scattered here one moment, gone the next. But with concentration, awareness deepens. You see more clearly. You touch reality more fully. Concentration is not forcing the mind into rigidity. It is gently training it to remain with what is. Think of a child holding a magnifying glass over a leaf. At first, the glass shakes, and the image is blurry. But as the child steadies the hand, the leaf comes into focus. Details appear that were invisible before. The veins, the texture, the delicate patterns. This is what concentration does for the mind. It allows us to see deeply into the nature of things. The third door is insight. Insight arises naturally when mindfulness and concentration are strong. It is the clear seeing that transforms suffering into understanding. For example, when anger arises, mindfulness helps you recognize it. Concentration allows you to stay with it. And then insight appears. This anger is rooted in fear. This person who hurt me is also suffering. In that moment of insight, anger softens into compassion. No book or lecture can give you this truth. It comes from your own direct seeing. A woman once shared how she used these 3 doors during a painful divorce. At first, she drowned in sorrow, replaying memories, imagining futures that would never come. But through practice, she began with mindfulness, simply noticing her breath, noticing her grief. Then came concentration, staying with the feelings instead of running from them. Out of this patience, insight bloomed. She saw that her marriage ended not because of her failure, but because both she and her partner were trapped in their own wounds. This insight released her from blame and opened the path to forgiveness. She discovered a freedom that no external circumstance could provide. These 3 doors are not separate. They flow into one another. Mindfulness brings you home. Concentration keeps you there. Insight reveals the truth. Together, they create an unshakable peace. But here is the beauty. You do not need to wait until life is perfect to practice them. You can open these doors right now, in the middle of your busy, imperfect life. Washing dishes, walking to the bus stop, sitting in traffic, all of these can become moments of mindfulness, concentration, and insight. You do not need to escape your life to be free. Freedom is available in the life you already have. When you begin to live this way, something profound happens. Stress may still arise, but it does not control you. Pain may still visit, but it does not define you. Fear may still knock, but it does not rule your home. You realize that freedom is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of stability. It is not the elimination of storms, but the discovery of a ground that cannot be shaken. The 3 doors, mindfulness, concentration, and insight, are not lofty ideals reserved for monks in distant monasteries. They are practical, living energies available to everyone, everywhere. The mother preparing breakfast for her children can open these doors. The student studying late at night can open these doors. The nurse rushing through the hospital corridors can open these doors. Freedom is not somewhere else, it is right here, waiting for us to notice. Mindfulness is often described as a gentle friend, always available, always patient. Even if you forget it 1,000 times, it does not abandon you. Each time you return to your breath, it welcomes you like a loving home. Concentration is the strength of this friendship. When mindfulness becomes steady, concentration deepens naturally, like roots growing strong beneath the soil. And when these roots are strong, insight blossoms like a flower, bringing clarity and healing fragrance to your life. Consider a young man who struggled with addiction. His mind was a storm, restless and hungry. Whenever cravings arose, he felt powerless. But in a recovery program, he learned to practice mindfulness of the body. Each time the craving appeared, he focused on his breath, feeling the rise and fall of his chest. At first, the practice was shaky, but over time, concentration grew. He could stay with the craving without being consumed by it. Then one day, insight came. This craving is not who I am. It is a wave. If I do not feed it, it will pass. That insight freed him from years of suffering. The 3 doors had opened, revealing a freedom that was always within him. Another story comes from a grandmother who carried grief after losing her husband. For years, her heart felt heavy, her nights long and lonely. But in a mindfulness group, she practiced walking meditation. Step by step, she said silently, "I arrive. I am home." At first, tears flowed with each step. But as concentration grew, something shifted. She began to notice the flowers blooming by the path, the birds singing overhead. Insight dawned. Though my husband is gone, life continues. Love continues. I carry him in every breath. This insight did not erase her grief, but it transformed it into tenderness, into gratitude. Through the 3 doors, she discovered that her heart was large, enough to hold both sorrow and joy. These examples remind us that the 3 doors are not magic tricks. They require practice. Like learning to play an instrument, you cannot expect mastery overnight. At first, your mind wanders. You forget. You doubt. But every time you return, every conscious breath, every mindful step, you strengthen the path. Slowly, the doors open wider. Slowly, your freedom becomes more stable. What makes this freedom unshakable is that it does not depend on conditions outside of you. Wealth can be lost. Relationships can change. Health can decline. But mindfulness, concentration, and insight remain available. They are treasures no one can steal. When you cultivate them, you carry your sanctuary within you, wherever you go. Imagine walking through a storm. Rain lashes down, wind howls, thunder roars. Most people would run, desperate to escape. But you, grounded in mindfulness, concentration, and insight, walk steadily. You feel the rain on your skin, the ground beneath your feet. You know the storm will pass, as all storms do. You do not fight it. You do not flee it. You meet it with calm awareness. In that moment, even in the storm, you are free. This is not just poetry. It is a way of living. Life will always bring storms, illness, loss, disappointment, conflict. But if you have cultivated the 3 doors, these storms no longer destroy you. They become teachers. They become part of the path. You no longer live in fear of what might come, because you know you have the tools to meet whatever arises. This is true freedom, not escape from suffering, but the ability to meet suffering with stability, clarity, and compassion. The great gift of the 3 doors is that they open not only for you, but for others. When you are mindful, others feel seen. When you are concentrated, others feel heard. When you gain insight, others feel understood. Your practice radiates outward, touching family, friends, even strangers. In this way, your personal freedom becomes a collective gift. So ask yourself, how can I open these doors today? Perhaps by taking one mindful breath before speaking. Perhaps by listening fully to someone without interruption. Perhaps by reflecting on a difficult emotion until insight arises. These small practices, repeated daily, build an unshakable freedom. And here is the deepest truth. The 3 doors are not new. They have always been within you. You are not creating something from nothing. You are rediscovering what was already there. Like a traveler who realizes the treasure was in their pocket all along. You awaken to the freedom that has been waiting for you since the beginning. When you step through these doors, you realize that peace is not a distant goal. It is your birthright. It is the natural state of your being, uncovered at last. We have walked together through a long journey. We began in the noise of the modern world, with its alarms, emails, deadlines, and restless hearts. We faced the illusion of control, the endless race toward a future that never arrives. The heavy inheritance of wounds carried across generations, the disconnection born of distraction, the painful presence of adversaries, and the quiet doors of freedom already within us. Each chapter has been a step, not away from life, but deeper into it. Now, as we arrive at the conclusion, the question is simple. What do we do with all of this? The first truth is this: your suffering is not a sign of weakness. It is not proof that you are broken. Suffering is part of being human. Every pain you feel, anxiety, loneliness, anger, fear, is not yours alone. It belongs to the great story of humanity, to generations who came before and generations yet to come. And within this suffering lies the seed of awakening. Just as a lotus grows out of mud, peace grows out of pain. Your struggle can be the very ground on which freedom blooms. Think of the seeds we spoke about. Every day, countless seeds lie within you. Some are seeds of fear, anger, jealousy. Others are seeds of kindness, patience, compassion. You are not responsible for which seeds exist. That is the inheritance of being human. But you are responsible for which seeds you water. This is your freedom. No matter what happens outside of you, you can choose which garden to grow inside of you. And this choice, made again and again, reshapes your entire life. Remember also the power of arrival. How many years have been lost to the thought, I will be happy when? How many moments slipped away because we were rushing to a future that never came? The truth is, happiness is not in the future. It is here, in the breath you are taking, in the ground beneath your feet, in the presence of a loved one's smile. To say, I have arrived, I am home, is not an empty mantra, it is the doorway to peace. Every step, every breath, is an opportunity to arrive. And what of the wounds of the past? The voices that tell you you are not enough, the fears inherited from parents, the silent traumas carried in your family's story? These too can be healed. You are not condemned to repeat the same cycles. You can be the turning point. By practicing compassion for yourself, you heal not only your own wounds, but the wounds of those who came before you. You offer a new inheritance to those who will come after you. Imagine the power of that gift, a legacy not of pain, but of peace, not of anger, but of love. Presence is the way we bring all of this alive. Without presence, the teachings remain words, ideas, philosophies. With presence, they become lived reality. Washing dishes becomes meditation. Walking down the street becomes liberation. Listening to your child becomes an act of love. Drinking tea becomes a sacrament. Presence is not about changing what you do. It is about changing how you do it. And when you live with presence, life ceases to be something to survive. It becomes something to celebrate. Even adversaries, those who test and hurt us, become part of this celebration. They challenge us, yes. They awaken anger, yes. But they also offer us the chance to grow compassion, to strengthen patience, to discover forgiveness. Without them, our practice would remain shallow. With them, it becomes deep. They are not gifts we asked for, but they are gifts nonetheless. When you can look at someone who hurt you and say, you too are suffering. I choose not to add to the suffering. You have discovered a freedom that no one can take from you. And finally, the 3 doors: mindfulness, concentration, insight. These are not just practices. They are treasures. They open into a sanctuary within you that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Wealth may vanish, relationships may change, health may falter, but if you have walked through these doors, you remain free. You carry a peace that does not depend on the world. You carry a strength that is tender but unbreakable. You carry an understanding that transforms everything it touches. So, what does this mean for you, listening here and now? It means you do not have to wait for another day to begin. You do not have to wait until you are perfect, until life is smooth, until all problems are solved. You can begin in this very breath. Close your eyes if you wish. Inhale gently. Exhale softly. Whisper inside, I have arrived. I am home. Feel the weight in your shoulders soften. Feel the ground steady beneath you. This is it. This is life. This is enough. The path ahead is not about adding more to your life. It is about subtracting the illusions that weigh you down. You do not need to control everything. You do not need to chase endlessly. You do not need to repeat the wounds of the past. You do not need to live as a prisoner of distraction or anger. The door is already open. All you need to do is step through. And as you step, remember this: you are not walking alone. Every person who has ever suffered and sought peace walks with you. The ancestors whose pain you carry walk with you. The children and future generations who will inherit your choices walk with you. Each mindful breath you take, each seed of compassion you water, each act of presence you offer ripples outward, touching lives you may never see. Your practice is never just for you. It is for the whole world. So let this be your invitation. Let this be your gentle call. Do not postpone your life. Do not postpone your freedom. Begin now with what you have, where you are. Breathe, step, arrive. You have everything you need already within you. The garden is ready to bloom. The home is waiting. The 3 doors are open. And as you walk forward, carry this truth in your heart. Peace is not far away. Peace is here. Peace is you.